Albert Breer joining us. Hey, Albert, how are you, bud? You there?
That was good. You're talking about how the two Michigan men met in the backfield there in Foxborough. I think that was right around the same time Michigan last beat Ohio State, or at least the last time they beat Ohio State with a full-time head coach. I don't count the one with the interim.
Albert. Now that you've brought it up, you were one of the people who was like texting me Saturday. Northern Illinois is tougher, man. They might be the best team in Illinois.
Legit.
But you didn't say that going in. You didn't see that going in.
I said this to all my friends going in. This is a no-win situation because it's an actual legitimate program that isn't a name brand, so you'll get no credit if you beat the brakes off of them. And if you struggle against them, which is possible because they're pretty good, then you're going to have problems. You know those MAC teams as well as I do. Michigan plays them. There are a couple of them that are pretty tough.
I don't know.
From year to year, and Northern Illinois is one of them.
I don't know. Is BYU in the MAC? I don't think so. We face them this weekend, but it's okay. Let's move to the professional ranks because obviously when it all comes down to it, I have very little leg to stand on when we have this conversation based over the last decade. So what happened with Cam Chancellor? He just decided this was it? He realized he was banging his head against the wall? Is that what happened?
Yeah, $2.1 million in lost money is what happened here. And I think that for the Seahawks, they love the player. I mean, he's the guy who directs traffic back there. He frees up Earl Thomas to do his thing, frees up their corners. I mean, he's everything to them defensively from a leadership standpoint. He hits every note for them. But the problem was that they've paid so many young guys now, and so many young guys are early in their contracts. Guys like Earl and Sherman and KJ Wright and Bobby Wagner and Cliff Averill and Michael Bennett and Doug Baldwin and Russell Wilson and Marsh. I mean, on and on and on and on. And so you just can't set the precedent. And I think that Cam had pushed this thing as far as he could possibly push it. And the Seahawks were serious. They just could not set that precedent with so many other good, young, talented players on their roster who could do the same thing if they did it for Cam. So this was about precedent for the Seahawks, nothing personal, and I think Cam finally got to the point where he realized they weren't going to bud.
Albert Breer joining me here on the program. What's the latest with Breeze? How serious might this be?
Well, I think there's certainly reason for concern here. I mean, it's it being a rotator cuff injury and the fact that he had a labrum repair in 2006 doesn't, it's certainly not good. And it's just talking to people in the medical profession who know about these injuries, the very least, could compromise his ability to throw the ball to some degree. And I mean, we're not talking about, Ben Roethlisberger here to begin with. His margin for error is a little bit smaller. So even if he can play in the short term, and I have my doubts about that, even if he can get himself out there to play in the short term, you have to worry about what this is going to mean for him long term from an arm strength standpoint. And the example I give you, Rich, and you know this because you follow the Jets pretty closely, is Chad Pennington. You remember he had shoulder issues throughout his career, and because he was dealing with a little bit of a smaller margin for error there, once he had that last shoulder injury, that was kind of it for him, and that's kind of, I think, what we could eventually, maybe not right now, but eventually be dealing with Breeze.
Is there any chance that it could be Garrett Grayson's gig, or it's definitely Luke McCown?
No, I think it's Luke McCown. I mean, every indication I've got is Garrett Grayson's not ready yet.
Okay.
They obviously like him quite a bit, and on paper, because he played for McElwain, who runs a pro-style offense at Colorado State, on paper he'd be more ready than almost any other rookie to play in the NFL right away. But the indications that I've gotten and what I've heard from what happened in West Virginia in the summer were that he's just not at the point yet where he can get out there and run the team as efficiently as Luke McCown.
Now, first blush, we've got 2 games obviously only under our belts for every team. Most of the free agents that moved along aren't really faring very well. And Ndamukong Suh is one that we're not talking about in Miami. Because that's out of the radar. Bill's coming for a visit. That's a pretty big game this weekend.
Yeah.
What's going on with Suh down in South Florida, Albert?
I've talked to a couple of the coaches down there who just said that it's not like he's been a problem in the building or anything like that. I mean, it's just a couple instances of a guy going outside the defense to try to make a play. Now, is this going to become something bigger? Who knows? I think the one thing that you can't do with a player like this who has history is draw conclusions after 2 games that everything's going to be okay. but he's been fine in the building. I mean, he hasn't caused a problem for the defensive coaches. And, this is, I think, an example of maybe frustration on the part of Sue. And look, there's some other guys in the team, too, where you go outside of what you're being asked to do on the defensive side to try and make something happen for a team that's struggling.
Albert Breer, let's talk about the building you're in right now in Redskins Park. Tomorrow night, Jay Gruden, we expect, will tie Mike Shanahan for most all-time healthy scratches of RG3 with 3. What is the latest there, Albert?
Well, kudos to you guys for keeping that stat.
Oh, yeah, we keep that stat. Oh, yeah. Yeah, he'll tie the record.
They're going to give Kirk Cousins every chance to hold on to this job for the rest of the season and beyond. The coaches think a lot of him. They really felt like giving him the chance to ride out his mistakes where, he doesn't have to worry about getting yanked off the stage with a cane if he throws a couple picks that benefit him. And what they've really seen, the coaches have seen is that he's finding a way now to apply the offense against different types of defenses, and that's kind of the next step. And he's also playing a little bit freer now that he's not worried about his next mistake costing him his job. And so the team has moved on from Robert Griffin III. They, for all intents and purposes, are done with him. He's likely to stay on the roster, but I would doubt they're ever going to put him in game action again because of the risk involved with that $16 million option. So, they go to the next guy, and I don't think anybody on there is sure whether or not the quarterback of the future under the new general manager, Scott McCloughan, is on the roster yet. Kirk Cousins will get a shot at being that, but there's no assurances that he's going to be the guy either.
All right, Albert. Good luck against Western Michigan this weekend. Those guys from Kalamazoo, you never know what you're going to get when they come to the Horseshoe. So kudos to you to put it all on the line in the first month of the season like that.
And I'm just happy that after that season opening loss against one of Urban's assistants, you guys were able to beat another one of Urban's old assistants in week 2 with Oregon State. So you're now 1-1. Harbaugh's now 1-1 against the Meyer coaching family.
All right, Albert. Thanks for joining me, bud. We'll chat soon, okay?
You got it, Rich.
You got it. That's at Albert Breer.
Just
on
never
Twitter.
misses an opportunity to troll back.
It's all right. And as you pointed, as my nephew Jack showed, I'm the black sheep of that side of the family.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern. On Audience.